Nut marks a pivotal point in the Unu-revelation, acting as a bridge between the first four cosmic laws that are distant and impersonal, and the last four that are highly interactive. So while she also represents a vast, multidimensional abstract concept, she's the first one that we can relate to personally. And as the mother of Osiris, Isis, Seth, and Nephthys, she effectively sets the whole world in motion. In Geb Part 2, I described how the twins Geb and Nut create electromagnetism, with Geb acting as a magnet that creates a continuous flow of invisible energy represented by the body of Nut. This flow perfectly describes the Netta Nut, since motion is the cosmic law she personifies. And without movement, the matter of Geb remains inert and cannot sustain what we call life. Thus Nut is the vital life-giving principle. Nut keeps the entire universe in a state of perpetual motion, making her the universal mother that brought everything into life. And as you know, motherhood is a big responsibility, and this is where the genius of the temple teaching shines forth, because in personifying the Nettas, they made the abstract multidimensional facets of cosmic law into something we can immediately relate to on the human level. And since Nut plays so many different roles, she's often shown in unusual, almost acrobatic postures with a rich variety of symbols that we'll get into in another video. Her name is written with a bowl, the upper half of a circle, and an elongated rectangle whose ends extend downward to a point. The bowl is none other than the hieroglyph for her grandmother Nu, which contains all possibilities in a non-manifest state. And you can check out the video I made on her for more details. The half circle pronounced T defines Nut as a female principle. And if you've been following my channel, you already know some of the meanings of this hieroglyph, which here we can see as an upturned bowl pouring out the contents of Nu's pot across the celestial dome. And what a beautiful way to describe the sky, while also marking the time of Ra's daily journey there. The third hieroglyph is a determinative that's not pronounced, and the points below each end define and enclose the space beneath it. This shape can be used as a compass, where one of the points is held fixed, while the other scribes an arc by rotating the horizontal bar. To scribe is an ancient verb that means to write or draw, and it's a way to graphically reveal a non-manifest concept or thought. So scribing a circle with a compass turns the abstract concept into a visible reality, and a person called a scribe writes words that are then fixed in space and time. Similar to the rectangle we saw in the name of her father Shu, which I presented as plasma, this hieroglyph often contains stars. And we'll be getting into star symbolism a bit later, but already it implies that stars are what are being revealed and fixed here. So on the planetary level, we can read her name as she who pours out the contents of the bowl of Nu across the celestial dome. And what a beautiful way to describe the sky. And note the word describe, since Nut unveils the stars with a continuous circular motion. And on the human level, We can read her name as she who regulates the flow of our body fluids. One good example being the female fertility cycle, which leads to motherhood. This brings us directly to one of Nut's principal functions, which is to regulate time on the sky clock. And to explain this, the ancient sages created a simple yet bizarre myth, where Nut gives birth to Ra, who then sails across her back on his day bark, until she swallows him at sunset, and he sails through her belly on his night bark. Like all myths, this curious episode stimulates our curiosity about cosmic mysteries that invite you to spend time pondering their inner meanings. But even on the most superficial level, it highlights the mystery of what happens to the sun every day, and how day and night are created, and what's their relationship to Earth and thereby to us. Then it tells us that every day Nut gives birth to Ra, who personifies the cosmic principle of love and created all that is. Now, she who gives birth is called a mother, making Nut the mother of all that is. And her action reminds us that both the day sky and the night sky are in constant motion. So let your mind open up to the swirling vortex that they called Nut. But let's stop here a moment and go over some details, because in almost every other culture, the Earth is considered a female entity, Mother Earth or Gaia, whereas in Egyptian mythology it's a male principle, Geb. Now I'm sure you've all watched a sunset before, and what your eye actually sees is the sun dropping down behind or into the Earth, and at sunrise it rises up from behind or out of it. So it looks like the Earth is swallowing the sun and giving birth to it. Yet the myth tells us that Nut, or the sky, is doing this. Today this sounds absurd to us because we've all seen pictures showing the sun in the center with the Earth and other planets going around it like spinning balls. Yet from our perspective here on Earth, that's not how it looks. This is simply a shift in perspective from the Earth to outer space, where it seems like the Earth revolves around the sun. And if we look at it from way out in space, our whole solar system becomes a tiny cluster rotating around something even bigger. And you've seen pictures of that too, right? Changes in perspective are really significant because they affect how we see things with our eyes and also how we see them psychologically. And in a separate video, I'll show how this explains hidden secrets of the canon of proportions in Egyptian art, like why the eye is drawn frontally on a face that's drawn in strict profile. So returning to the sky clock, the Net and Nut regulates time on all three levels. And here I must point out that the time of the sky clock is not the same as the time that we grew up with. It's an exact record of the movements of the heavenly bodies around the Earth, of which the sun, Ra, plays a key role. And one of the main differences is that it's flexible. How, you ask? Well, you might have heard of the 12 hours of the day and the 12 hours of the night, but did you ever stop to think what that could mean? All the units of time we use today were first established in ancient Egypt, and they're based on the ever-changing relationship between three planets, the sun, the moon, and the earth. And each unit is a multiple of 3, the number of Nut's mother, Tefnut, who represents all time which is not regulated or measured. To illustrate this, let's take the unit called a day, which is made up of 24 hours, 12 of which are spent in daylight and 12 in darkness when Ra is in the duat. And this creates two critical points, where Nut swallows the sun and gives birth to him again. Now on the sky clock, the first hour of the day begins when Ra emerges above the horizon in the east, and the 12th hour ends when he disappears in the west, with midday at exactly when he's at his zenith directly south. And this is true every day of the year, no matter where you are on the planet, so it's very practical because you can see it with your own eyes. What we call midnight is an abstract concept marking the unseen opposite of midday, and in the temple teaching it occurs in the 6th hour, when the corpse of Ra mystically unites with the corpse of Osiris. As we all know, the daylight hours are much longer in the summer than in the winter, so the length of each hour must get longer or shorter for the 12 and 12 to match up to the solar cycle. Complicated, you say? Complicated only because the hour on your clock is rigid and fixed. But one of the many blessings I've received from living here in Egypt is being introduced to the Islamic calendar and the call to prayer. Those of you who have been here may remember hearing the sunset call, yet you didn't think about the fact that sunset and sunrise occur at a different time every single day, and that call goes out exactly at sunset. Those prayers are entirely solar regulated, and the precise timing of each one is calculated for every latitude and longitude on Earth. So no matter where you are, they will correspond to the position of the sun in the sky above you. So while the day is measured by the visible cycle of the sun, the year and month are measured by the moon. This is such a humane concept because by looking to the sun, you can tell what time of day it is, and by looking to the moon, you can know what day of the month it is. This geocentric view directly connects man with the heavenly bodies and establishes a practical working relationship with them on a daily basis, whereas the clock time we currently use has severed that connection from the very cause of its existence, the celestial realm and the sky clock of Nut. So today we barely scratched the surface of Nut's tremendous significance, and in the next episode we'll look at some of the symbolism that reveal the nature of this netter. So to stay tuned, please click the like and subscribe buttons, and when you enjoyed today's presentation, please consider supporting the channel through the Buy Me a Coffee platform, and you can also read more about cosmic law in my blog News from Beyond, and I'll put links to both of those in the description below. And as ever, thank you for watching.